Hi everyone, I'm Eunice. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Welcome to the second part of the video where I'm showing you the books that I purchased during my trip to Kinshasa. This second video is actually an impromptu visit that I had to a bookstore. I actually didn't know about that bookstore. The person who was helping driving me around, shout out to Savigny, is the one who showed me this particular bookstore. I think it was when we went to Le Grand Marché, Zando, for those who know. And while we're driving around, he told me like, actually there's a popular bookstore here if you are interested. And I was instantly intrigued and I went to visit it. So I'm going to show you the clip of how I went to that particular bookstore and how I was just navigating my way around. And enjoy that video and I'll see you out there.
Vous aimez la littérature? Moi, je suis très jaloux des gens qui aiment la littérature.
Pourquoi?
Je les aime beaucoup. J'aime la littérature. Moi, je fais des lettres aussi, mais la littérature anglaise.
Où ça?
À l'ISP.
À l'ISP, ok. Vous lisez toujours alors?
Oui, je lis beaucoup. Mais maintenant, voilà, moi, je commence à avoir des visions de les rencontres.
C'est ça. Oui.
Ma vision est petite déjà. Vous n'avez pas aimé cette série?
Ça, c'est les arlequins. Non, je cherche des auteurs soit africains ou soit congolais.
À part George, j'aimerais un jour être invité dans votre bibliothèque comme ça.
Oui,
ça arrive?
Oui. J'ai maintenant pour d'espace, mais je fais un effort de placer ça comme.
Ah bon? Et chez vous, tout le monde aime lire. Mais vous,
bon, il y a mon père déjà, et il y a ma soeur aussi, ma deuxième sœur qui vient après moi.
C'est une enseignante?
Non, même pas, elle est juste étudiante aussi.
Hein?
Elle est juste étudiante.
Ah,
oui.
Ok. Qu'est-ce qu'on fait?
Tu es étudiante aussi?
Ah, tu étudies où?
Moi, j'étudie à l'étranger. Je suis aux USA. Oui.
Tu es en vacances?
Oui.
Qu'est-ce que tu fais? Qu'est-ce que tu fais?
Le marketing digital.
Ah, Manaoumi. Ok. Mais les vacances vont bientôt finir ou comment?
Oui, c'est bon. Dans 2 semaines et demie déjà.
D'accord. Merci beaucoup.
Merci à vous. So among all the books that I purchased at La Librairie, I'm just calling it Librairie de Grand Lac. So I have 2 categories. I have books by Congolese authors, and then I have books by other African authors as well. So for the first set, Congolese author, the first book that I have is L'Écart by Valentin Yves Moudimbe. So this is my second book by Valentin Yves Moudimbe. The first book, actually I mentioned it in the first part of this video. I'm going to link it above. I'm going to also put it in the description box. So Valentin Yves Moudimbe is a Congolese philosopher and professor. So the first book that I have of him is Le Bel Monde. So this second book that I found at the Librairie de Grand Lac is L'Écart. This is the story of a man who died of schizophrenia. So it's really interesting because I can imagine at the time, because mental health is still like a taboo in the African community. So I can imagine him at the time in Zaire trying to, talk about this taboo subject of mental health and schizophrenia. So I thought this book was really interesting and I can't wait to read it. The second book that I purchased is Ligue des États Négro-Africains by Tombolo Mutwala. So Tombolo Mutwala is a Congolese author. I can't really have, I don't have any information if he's still alive, he passed away. I tried to Google him, but I can't find nothing tangible. So all I know, it was, he hold his bachelor degree in political science from Université Libre de Bruxelles. And he's also I don't know if I had to say he was or he is, but just bear with me. He's also a researcher at the Université Libre de Bruxelles. And he's mainly preoccupied in geostrategical aspect of the Black African countries. So, Ligue des États Négro-Africains is actually talking about, I'm going to try to get a translation because, mind you, all these books are in French. I tried to really talk about them in English. So I tried to translate a little bit. So around Ligue des États Négro-Africains, around the middle of 1984, the former president Maréchal Mobutu, the president of the Republic of Zaire, proposed the idea of creating a league of Negro African states among independent countries of sub-Saharan Africa to Senegalese journalists. So this project was just subject to many controversy, many various reactions, because some saw it as a way to strengthen the ties between the nation of Black continent, but also others believed that it would be a tool for division between Arab and Black people in the same continent. So I thought this book was really interesting. It really looks like it's really an old book, and I was instantly intrigued by the subject and I wanted to read it so bad. So I can't really wait to dive into the content of this book. The next book that I purchased was Je connais mon visage, Chronique numérique rdcienne by, who's the author? Oof. You just say that it's une publication du musée familial Yabili. So it's a publication by a museum. So I don't know if it is really author per se. I can't remember. Yeah, it's just a publication from a museum. So this book is mainly the receipt of many stories. The main receipt in this book is actually how veteran Congolese politicians were summoned to Brussels for the trial of the assassination of Lumumba 40 years earlier. So I thought it was really an interesting book. For those who don't know, Patrice Emery Lumumba was a former Prime Minister of Congo. At the time, it was Congo Belge. He's actually among the people who fought for the independence of Congo Belge at the time, and until we got our independence in 1960. So this receipt is actually telling about how some Congolese politician was summoned for the trial of his assassination 40 years earlier. So I thought this was a no-brainer for me. Instantly, I was intrigued and I wanted to read it. The next book that I purchased was From a Failed Developed State. This actually was the only English book that I purchased. This was the only English book that I purchased. From a Failed to Developed State, The Congo Zaire Boom by Françoise Mianda. So Françoise Mianda is a law graduate of the University of Kinshasa. She was a consultant of the Wallonian Brussels Center in Kinshasa before starting work at the United Nations in 1966. And she's currently an international civil servant at the United Nations Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights in Geneva. So this book is actually talking about the comprehensive analysis of human and social challenge facing the Democratic Republic of the Congo that are also relevant to other countries in Africa or vulnerable groups across the globe. I thought this was an interesting book because it's talking about my home country and it's in English too. Mind you, I spent most of my adult years reading in English. So I noticed that I usually read French book really slowly. The speed is really slow compared to English book. So I was interested in this book because it was talking about my home country and it was in English. So it was a no-brainer as well. So I can't wait to dive into the story. The next book by Congolese author that I purchased is Jazz et Vin de Palme by Ibi Ndongala. Ibi Ndongala is a Congolese author from Congo Brazzaville. So this is a satirical work. It's actually translated in English as well. In English, the title is Jazz and Palm Wine. So it's a satirical work, just a combination of aliens, witchcraft, politics, jazz. So it's a mix of a little bit of everything. So I came across this book through one of the video of Madame Marina, and she talked about this book. I think she posted her own review about this book, and I was instantly intrigued, and I put it on my Amazon cart. And I was really surprised that I got to see it in my home country, and it was a no-brainer. So I instantly bought it because I was interested. So I can't wait to read it. Now the books that I purchased from different African authors. So the first book that I have is Crépuscule de temps anciens by Nazi Boni. Nazi Boni was a politician man from Burkina Faso, and he was also a former a former deputy of the French National Assembly in Burkina Faso as well. So you can Google him and learn more about him. He was really a man who was a major actor in politics in Burkina Faso. I even learned that later on he went to exile in Dakar, Senegal. So this was a personal discovery because I didn't know anything about him, and I never seen this book anywhere else. So I was just intrigued because it was an African author and I wanted to read it. So I can't wait to dive into it as well. The next book that I purchased is L'Appel des Arènes by Aminata Sofol. I came across this book from Matar. I'm gonna link his video. It's actually one of his YouTube video, one segment called Bibliothèque Africaine. And they talked about this book by Aminata Sofol. Actually, Aminata Sofol is a Senegalese author, and she was the first woman novelist being published in the whole Francophone Black Africa. So I was intrigued by her. And I remember I put L'Appel des Arènes in my Amazon cart, and then surprisingly, I went to see this book in the library in my home country. It was a no-brainer, and I bought it. And I can't wait to dive into this story. Last but not least, the book that I purchased is Celle qui attend by Fatou Diom. Fatou Diom is a Senegalese author as well. She's really renowned, and most of her work talk about immigrant life, the life of immigrants in France, and also relationship of France with African countries. Celle qui attend is the story of Arame and Bunya, mothers of two sons who went to Europe illegally, who migrated to Europe illegally. And I think I've had this book on my Amazon cart for years now, but I haven't had the chance to purchase it. But I'm so glad that I purchased it in my home country, and I was excited. This was actually the first book that I purchased from that particular bookstore, and I can't wait to dive into the story. So these were all the books that I was able to hunt from a local library in my city, Kinshasa. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave me a comment about if you heard any of the books that I mentioned, if you heard of any of the authors that I mentioned, if you read anything by them, or if you heard of them, are you planning on reading anything by them? Just let me know in the comment section and let's chat about it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye bye.